Best of 2025 in no particular order. World Series, Game 3 and Game 7. Two of the greatest games that I've seen in a really long time. Uh, they were fantastic. One, you got Game 3, which was an 18 inning marathon, excuse me, that the Dodgers won 6-5 on that Freddie Freeman walk-off homer. And then you had Game 7, where the Dodgers beat the Blue Jays 5-4 in 11 innings, where Rojas tied in the ninth, and then Will Smith hit the game winner in extras to get the back-to-back wins for the Dodgers. Not a Dodgers fan whatsoever. Could care less about LA. Could care less about Toronto. But just as far as baseball goes, and just the purity of the game and the stars that were there, they were one of the better World Series that we've had in a long time. Really goes to Game 7. You had drama throughout each game, but those two particular games are probably two of the greatest World Series games that have been played ever. You could probably put them up there ever. Now, there could be some baseball historians out there that say, "Hey, this isn't even top 25." Well, it ain't your damn podcast and it's mine, so to me it is, right? So I said mine, it's our podcast, right? Emilio's just going to agree with me here on this on the baseball stuff. So, anyways, those two games, they were the best of 2025. Also, in the hockey world, the Four Nations face-off was fantastic. The NHL was looking for something new in their All-Star format, just like every major sport is. The NBA, they probably have one of the better ones just because they do the skills challenges, right? The game's a joke itself. The NFL Pro Bowl is a joke itself, but the World Series, excuse me, the NHL was trying to figure out something to do with their All-Star game, so they came up with the Four Nations. And basically it's four countries in a mini tournament representing themselves, and what better than to get some hockey players going than putting their country's, emblem on their chest and going to fight for it, right? So the big deal for me, obviously, loving the United States of America, the rivalry between the US and Canada, and having those battles back and forth was fantastic. Now Canada ended up winning in the end. It was unfortunate, but we got great things like the 3 fights in 9 seconds. I don't know if you remember that, Emilio. That was everywhere, right? I mean, you had memes going out with Freebird playing in the background and the crowd going wild, and just, I mean, it was like an Olympic, um, sporting event almost. I remember I've always watched the United States, no matter what it is. It seems like, even if it's soccer, I'm watching because it's just the patriotic pride that I have. But I think back about the Olympics when Sidney Crosby and Canada beat the United States and all that kind of stuff. But it's always great to see, them put it out there and leave it out there, especially in an all-star format to where it's the middle of the season and they don't have to be going nearly this hard. And they're probably playing harder in these games than they were in the actual NHL games. So fantastic. Um, to end it off for me, Rory McIlroy winning Grand Slam. That was awesome to see. Been a big Rory fan for a long time. He's about the same age as I am, um, and it's great. So Grand Slam, you win all four majors, right? Um, you win the Masters, the U.S. Open, the Open Championship, and then the PGA Championship. Um, Rory became the sixth man to ever do it, the first European to ever do it. And then, you've got players like Nicholas and Woods, people like that. And he'd been chasing a major for 11 years. He won four by the time he was 26. He looked like he was well on his way to getting the Grand Slam, keeping up with Nicholas and Woods as far as winning those and maybe passing the all time. And then he just went on a complete drought. Hadn't been able to get past it. And then he finally got that done this year in the Masters. He hasn't performed particularly well there all the time, but that battle with him and Justin Rose going into that Sunday, going down to the wire, and him being able to pull that off was pretty cool. I've been a Rory fan for a long time, so yeah, I like golf. I appreciate it. So those are probably the biggest moments of 2025 for me as far as the sporting world goes. For my teams, there wasn't a lot of great things that happened. The Aggies sucked. The Cowboys sucked. The Spurs sucked. The Rangers sucked, so yeah, it kind of sucked as far as my teams personally, but a fan of sports nonetheless, and those things right there stuck out. So
Yep. My first one is U of H's comeback against Duke in the NCAA tournament. They
that was
trailed for 99.9% of the game, made a wild run at the very end, and I mean the very end,
hmm
to send them to the national championship. They went on to lose that, but I mean the NCAA tournament is probably one of my most favorite things for as long as I can remember.
Yep.
The excitement of it all, anybody can win the NCAA championship once you're in the dance, and I think that's the there's it's hard to recreate that excitement because we talked about this with the college football playoff. Is if you're a Tulane, you pretty much know you're not winning the national championship. Hell, if you're a Miami, you pretty much know you're not winning the national championship. But in basketball, you can be a U of H and have a chance. So
100%.
uh, that was a heck of a moment, and I hate Duke, so it made it even better. The Tar Heels weren't the best that year, so I love every opportunity to catch another Duke loss. So that was great.